Welcome everyone to the first installation of my Minecraft Modpack review series. Today we're going to go in depth of what this modpack has to offer and if you should play it in 2021. I made an intro video to this series outlining what information I want to talk about and how I will grade and evaluate these modpacks. If you missed it, there will be a card on screen to go check it out. If you're also not trying to watch another video, that's fair enough. And here's the really quick rundown of what I'm going to try and cover in this video and pretty much a quick summary of the video that I posted before. I'm going to cover 5 categories for this mod pack. Some of them will be subjective and some of them will be objective. The first one is going to be PC and RAM specs. I'm going to run the game on 4 gigabytes, 7 gigabytes, and 12 gigabytes, and comfortable settings. Fancy graphics, smooth lighting. You'll get a good, frame of what's required to run this pack. The next thing I'm going to evaluate is the genre of the pack. I'm going to evaluate if it's primarily magic, if it's primarily tech, if it's exploration, etc. I'm going to divide it up into percentages, 50% tech, 20% magic, something along those lines. The third thing I'm going to talk about is the amount of content and if there's an endgame in this pack. The fourth thing I'm going to talk about is the difficulty of the pack compared to vanilla Minecraft. And the final thing, and least important thing, and purely objective thing, is my personal enjoyment and how original I thought the pack was. Today we're going to be looking at Feed the Beast Infinity Reloaded. This pack can be downloaded on the CurseForge launcher or the Twitch launcher and runs on Minecraft version 1.12.2. Feed the Beast Infinity Reloaded is a fan-made pack and is not actually associated with Feed the Beast as an organization, but it boasts all the polish and finesse an original Feed the Beast pack would hold. This pack is also an expert mode pack, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The crafting recipes in Infinity Reloaded are slightly more complex than regular recipes, making the pack more challenging but also more rewarding for veteran players. The mod pack link will be in the description if you want to check out the mod list or other features during this video. Feed the Beast Infinity Reloaded is an expert progression pack. When you log in, you are presented with this wonderfully complete quest book with so many different places to start. If you're into farming, there's a whole page with different quests and unique rewards. If you're into sorcery and magic, there's a page for Thaumcraft and witchery. But the big feature of this pack is the tech progression. There are pages and pages of loads of tech achievements and quests throughout this mod pack. The quest book acts as your guide to learning and exploring new technologies that you may overlook in your regular mod pack playthroughs. I, for one, have never used immersive engineering in my life before, but in this mod pack, immersive engineering was one of the first things you have to do. So following with the quest book, I had to learn immersive engineering. I had to learn how early steel is made in a way I've never done before, and that was rewarding, just not with this pack, but now I know how immersive engineering works. I can't emphasize enough how important and useful the quest book is to this pack. This is the ultimate pack for getting your feet wet in a slightly harder but more challenging experience for modded Minecraft. There is never a point in this pack where you don't have something to do. There is always something to work towards at every stage in the game. Unlike traditional mod packs where there's no direction, this mod pack gives you direction. Early stages of technology still carry their weight into the mid-game. The coke oven and the Tinker's Construct smeltery are going to be the cornerstone for crafting tools and other crafting components all the way into mid to late game. This pack makes it so you can only craft up to stone tools. Iron tools, gold tools, and diamond tools have a single durability, and they're supposed to be used for crafting components, not for mining. You need to find other ways, like using Tinker's Construct to make your early game tools. You are also not going to have access to the same types of ores like you normally do in a Minecraft mod pack. Gold, lead, and tin all require diamond level or higher to mine. A huge bonus of the quest book is that it gives you a really great description of each quest. All of them have a text block about how it's useful, how to use it, and why it's needed for the future. In my opinion, this pack is a must-try for any of you looking for a fresh experience in Minecraft. The quest progression in this pack gets no time, if any, to get used to, and provides you with experience and rewards you along your journey through the pack. This pack makes it necessary to learn new things because crafting, say, a macerator is locked behind so many prerequisites. This pack forces you to take your time and to try out brand new mods that you may have skipped over in the past. If you really hate a certain mod, there's generally two paths to achieve a goal. So you can find your own way or do it the second type of way, but I would suggest to do both. For example, there's the immersive engineering and I think it's railcraft types coke ovens that you can start off with. Only one is required to continue along the tech tree, but if you get both, you can double your production of steel, which takes a really long time. So it's worth it to do both. Before I get into my official valuations of this mod pack, I think the pack is best to be played with friends. It's so large and there's so many things to do. If you have a group of friends, one friend can start working on the food tree, another friend can start working on the Thaumcraft and Witchery magic tree, and you can have 2 or 3 work on the tech tree. In my opinion, this can make the experience feel so much smoother. People can join teams as well in the quest book, so progression is shared across all players and you can work as a team to achieve the endgame. That being said, I played this pack completely solo. The number of hours I have, which is almost an entire day just on this server, can show how far you can get just playing by yourself. As someone who's been playing Minecraft since alpha, I can safely say this pack made me learn new mods and try new things more than any pack has before. I hope that intro was clear and informative on what the pack has to offer. But now I'm going to start talking about the mod pack evaluation, the 5 things I said at the very beginning of the video. Now there will be timestamps in the description and you should be able to hover over the play bar to see them, so you can skip the things that you feel are least relevant to you. I'm going to start off with the PC specs and then I will end with my personal opinion. My PC specs along with my Nova Bench score is going to be in the description if you want to see how closely your computer maybe compares with mine. It may help you judge how relevant this informational section is to you. If you have a way better computer than mine, then you can probably ignore it. And if you have a really bad computer, as I said before, I tested it on 4 GB of RAM, 7 GB and 12, so hopefully something appeals to you and you can use something. Unfortunately, I have to say I could not launch the pack with 4 GB. The client loaded the mods for almost half an hour and then crashed. Therefore, I cannot honestly recommend to even attempt to play this pack on 4 GB unless your CPU and GPU are really good and they can handle all that extra slack, which mine clearly could not. On 7 GB, the pack took not too long to launch, 6 or 7 minutes, which really isn't bad for a pack this size. At around 7 GB of allocated RAM, I was able to average well above 100 FPS on fancy graphics with smooth lighting. However, I was peaking at 80% capacity for my RAM. If you don't know how frame freezes happen, this is how they work in Minecraft. When your game freezes, it's because you're using 100% of the allocated RAM. As you can see on screen, I'm using roughly 80%, but if it got up to 100%, my screen would freeze. Things that can boost you or make you go to 100% would be loading into a world, loading into a server, going to the nether, going to the mining dimension, or having maybe a better base than I do with way more machines. That can definitely cause you to go to 100%, which would cause your game to freeze. Allocating more RAM makes it less likely for your client to freeze. Given that, I tested with a resource pack and without a resource pack. The resource pack I used was Fax Pure BD Craft on 64-bit. There's no official resource pack, so I had to make an amalgamation of my own. I used the base 1.12 Sfax pack. Obviously, you need the base texture pack. Then I added 2 patches. I added all the mods 3 for 1.12, and then the 1.12 patch on top. Those 3 together covered about 90% of the textures. So if that's something you're looking for, that's an option. There's only a few missing textures throughout the pack, and it was pretty nice. Anyway, as you can see with the resource pack in the same settings, I dropped about 40 to 50 FPS, which is definitely noticeable. For me, I love how the resource pack looks, so I don't really care, but if your computer's a little slower, it may not be an option. You can also see with the resource pack, instead of peaking at 80%, I'm peaking at 91% sometimes. This means with a texture pack, at least for me, I would have a much higher chance of getting frozen frames. And lastly, for 12 gigabytes, it was kind of weird. For some reason, the pack locked me at about 10 gigabytes, even though I allocated 12. So it says for some reason 9,952. I can guarantee I put 12 in, but I guess it's just capped at a certain amount. Regardless, this was silky smooth with or without the resource pack, and the launch time was like immediate. I'm sure most people without a texture pack with 10 gigabytes, I guess, will be sitting at easily 200 frames, no problem. All in all, this pack will pretty much run on anything above 5 gigabytes with the default textures. The lower the RAM for this pack, the longer the wait times are going to be to play and load the game. If your PC only has 8 gigabytes, you can get away with 6 gigabytes for sure, but 7 will give you a more smooth performance and less freezes. This pack also uses phosphorus, if I'm not mistaken, which is a mod that considerably boosts FPS, so that's pretty nice for people with maybe weaker PCs. The next category, which is probably the most relevant category to most people, is going to be the genre breakdown. So if I had to break down this pack, I would say 10% of it is magic, adventure is 5%, exploration 15%, fantasy 5%, and technology 65%. I have not, unfortunately, found a time-efficient or possible avenue to reach the endgame with magic or the magical bees and forestry mods. I think these things offer many creative solutions to generating rare materials like ender pearls and blaze rods, but that's about all of its shine. Magic is fun to do for sure, and there's a good chunk in this pack of magic and stuff you can do, but it feels like something to do on the side of this mod pack because it really pushes you to explore the technology. Now, adventure and exploration. What is the difference between adventure and exploration? To me, exploration is how much you need to leave your base to get supplies, resources, and maybe explore to find new materials. Adventure is how much you want to. In this pack, I feel like the adventure is very low. The only adventurous stuff I did was at the very beginning to find a cool biomes with plenty zone I wanted to set up my base in. Other than that, I did some bee stuff. It wanted me to collect all kinds of new bees around the world in different environments, but that was it for adventure. Exploration, on the other hand, is absolutely essential. You don't get access to automated mining until mid-game, and it's expensive as hell. You need to go out and explore caves, abandoned mine shafts, dungeons, the nether, mining dimension for resources non-stop. I think exploration is a huge part of this mod pack simply because you need rare materials that are found in chests or villages and that are incredibly hard or complex or time-consuming to craft. Exploration in this pack can save you so much time. Finding a village to start in with a smeltery, that is the jackpot. Fantasy. I did not get the vibe that this is a very hack and slash mod pack. There's some boss mobs that can spawn around at night that are kind of harder to kill and they drop slightly better loot. But other than that, the fantasy stuff would probably be the Twilight Forest, I guess. It's never really been my type of mod. I can appreciate the Twilight Forest, but it's not really required for anything. So in comparison to Magic, where there's a whole tech tree devoted to it, it's just Twilight Forest is kind of like a side thing in the Magic tree. Fantasy comprises a pretty small part of this mod pack, but some of the fantasy elements can tie into the other mods like Tinker's Construct and creative tools to make really, really strong armor and tools for, like, I would say mid to late game, but definitely not end game. The last one is the big one, technology. This is why you will play this pack. To experience a different challenge and to progress through the ages of technology while each machine stays relevant for many tiers after. The Master Editor, for example, is a very early machine but incredibly useful even until the start of late game. Power converters from RF to EU, essential the whole span of the mod pack. I could go on and on. As you progress, you get access to new machines, which help you build the next machines, which then help you build the next stage of machines. Everything in this pack is progression locked too. You can't just rush the macerator to double your ores right away. You need to craft stuff beforehand to get to that stage. It is beautifully laid out. You can tell so much time and effort went into organizing the mod pack. It's really unbelievable and hard to describe. The next attribute I'm going to talk about is how good Feed the Beast Infinity Reloaded's endgame is. The endgame in the pack is there, and it's there big time. There's Draconic Evolution, there's UU Matter, there's extreme crafting, creative tools, creative machines, so much more. So much endgame potential for this pack, but you really need to work for it. I've played almost an entire day on this server alone, and I would say, if I'm being generous, I'm maybe 20% of the way to endgame. This pack takes dedication, but there's no shortage of content and no chance you run out of interesting and new things to do along the way. The second last thing I want to talk about is the difficulty of this pack. As you know, this is an expert mode pack. Recipes are altered to be more difficult and harder to achieve. If you just look on screen and see what's required to make a furnace, you need 8 compressed cobblestone, which is a total of 72 cobble just for one basic furnace. The macerator is similar in nature. You need a rock crusher to get crushed obsidian, and then to get a rock crusher, you need brass. To get brass, you need some kind of early alloying setup. It goes on and on. This pack is incredibly intricate, and no crafting recipe has been overlooked. On the plus side, I would also not consider this an extreme expert mode pack. As someone who has played Omnifactory and Enigmatica 2, this is not much. All the recipes in Feed the Beast Infinity Reloaded are so much more manageable than those other expert packs. Assuming vanilla Minecraft is a 3 out of 10 for difficulty, this pack is probably a 7, whereas I would rate like an Omnifactory or Enigmatica 2 like 9 or 10. That's mainly because it's laid out so clearly and it's so manageable through the quest book. Without the quest book, this pack would probably be near 9 out of 10 for difficulty for sure. You'd have no direction, you wouldn't know what comes before what. This pack is perfect for someone looking for a slight challenge, but still wants to have fun and not spend 15 minutes on one recipe for one component of one machine like Omnifactory or Enigmatica 2. And now finally, the least important score, my personal enjoyment. Keep in mind everything that I say, besides the tech specs, are purely subjective, and it's my opinion on the mod pack. Nevertheless, I feel like Feed the Beast Infinity Reloaded is exactly what I've been looking for during the lockdown. It's been a perfect balance of difficulty and challenge to reward and efficiency. Every machine you make feels like it makes you more efficient. Every step you take along the quest book brings you closer and closer to the end game, and you can visually see the progress. Although I would have to drop another 100 hours easy to get to the end game, it's really great to know that I'm working towards something really powerful and it's really there. If you're bored and you've been looking for a mod pack where you actually have to do something rather than just rush ore duplication and abuse magical crops just because it's the best thing to do, this one is for you. I cannot recommend this pack enough for people who are just like me. You enjoy tech mod packs, but you also want to try something new and maybe a bit harder than usual. You want a challenge and a way to diversify how you play rather than doing the same approach with the same mods you've been always familiar with over and over again. This pack gets an 8 out of 10 easy for my personal enjoyment, and maybe it'd be slightly higher if I was able to play with friends. That's something I have to consider, is the single player experience definitely is a lot of work to do on your own, but it's still rewarding regardless. For originality, I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10. This pack is based off of Feed the Beast Infinity, which is an outdated pack which actually was made by the organization of Feed the Beast, but the essence of this updated mod pack is there. The quest system also brings some life back into the mod pack that obviously I've been gushing about the entire time. My only warning, my only criticism for this mod pack is keep your eye on the clock, because hours will pass in minutes. I missed 2 of my university lectures because I wanted to get my steel production up and running. You will be sucked in, but I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Give this pack a try. Play with some friends or by yourself. Either way, this pack can't seem to go wrong for a player like me, and I hope it's the same for you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.